Okay, so hello, I'm Dr. Glaire Anderson. I'm Senior Lecturer in Islamic Art, and I'm founding leader of the Digital Lab for Islamic Visual Culture and Collections. So I wanted to take this opportunity to just introduce myself briefly, give you a little bit of background on the Digital Lab, and its values and the kinds of projects that we're working on and that you'll be hearing more about in the future if you'd like to keep up with our work. So we're based in the School of History of Art and the Edinburgh College of Art at the University of Edinburgh. And we're using mixed reality technologies to create new experiences of Islamic spaces, objects, and histories. Now, I founded the Digital Lab quite recently, in February 2021, as a way to bring students and researchers together to work on creative interdisciplinary projects in collaboration with external partners in the games and GLAM sectors. GLAM, of course, being galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. So my aim is to combine education, video games, and museums in the work that we do. Now, one of the questions that I often get and that you might be asking yourselves is why video games? Well, that's because video games are now one of the most significant ways in which the public engages with the past. And even though the educational value of games is widely acknowledged, most games and game environments remain quite Eurocentric. So that's partly why video games. The other longer answer of why video games is related to my research, my longer research trajectory on using game engines for the work of Islamic art history. So just to give you a little bit of backstory about that, the seed that eventually grew into the Digital Lab began around 2010, around 2011. And that was something that I called the Digital Munya Project. So this was my collaborative research on using the Unity game engine to develop a navigable 3D model of a 10th century Islamic villa, which in Al-Andalus, or Islamic Spain, was known as a munya, this kind of villa or suburban estate. So this project was intended to create some 3D visualizations of a particular 10th century villa, its landscape, and its interiors that could include authentic period artifacts. And that project provided many of the images that I then published in my book, The Islamic Villa in Early Medieval Iberia. So that project not only supported what became my book, but it also really changed my research methodology and introduced me to something that changed the way that I did research on Islamic art and architectural history ever after, which is this use of the video game engine as a way to visualize Islamic architecture and objects, but also to teach potentially history. So that project, which I developed with a colleague of mine, a computer scientist, who is now retired, but that's Anselmo Lastra, who was head of the computer science department at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where I was before I came to Edinburgh. So that project, which Anselmo Lastra and I developed along with students in history of art, computer science, fine art, and video game design, provided the inspiration for the projects now that I have combined under the umbrella of the Digital Lab that combine video game engines and other digital technologies with the work of Islamic art and history. So some of these projects specifically are my collaboration with the National Museum of Scotland, inspired by an 11th century astrolabe in their collection. And now our current research involving video games and mixed reality to teach medieval Islamic visual culture. And notably, that is the 2.0 phase of the Digital Munya project. And this includes updating the Unity build, experimenting with VR, and then developing this into an actual video game, which we're quite excited about. So that's a little bit on the backstory of the Digital Lab. And I just want to end with a quick word on the Digital Lab's values, because this is something that's very important to me in guiding the work that we do. So our values are diversity, inclusion, justice, respect, creativity, collaboration, interdisciplinarity, and accessibility. So what does this mean in practice? It means that we strive to make academic knowledge about Islamic art and history accessible outside the academy. And to do that, we work on collaborative teams to create inclusive experiences and resources. So that's a little bit of background on me and on the Digital Lab, why I founded it, and what we're trying to do. And I hope this is a useful introduction to our work. And I invite you to follow us on Instagram. All right, thank you so much.